here we are again. Today we have a very special guest, as all our guests have been throughout the years, the days, I'm sorry. So our guest today is Alan Tubery. Alan has been a DJ in Eurovision side events for the last 7 years and is an Australian citizen with a Swiss-German ascendancy, whose passion for the Eurovision comes from childhood, when he watched the broadcast event with his mother. Am I correct, Alan?
You are totally correct. It was 1961.
My God,
Right.
Thank you. So
I'm showing my age here.
Don't worry about that. So first question we have for you is, are you a DJ by profession, or did your passion for the Eurovision Song Contest drove you in this direction?
No, I'm actually a professional DJ, and Eurovision is only a small part of my DJ.
Okay.
I am also producing music and everything. So.
Okay, great. Okay. So, Sophia.
So you were in the last 7 Eurovision Song Contests in the 7 different cities.
Yep.
Where did you perform in each year? In the Eurocafe or Village? Can you talk a little bit about this?
I've performed mainly at every Euro Village.
Mm-hmm.
I've performed at the Euro Club, and I've performed at the Eurocafe, and as well I've performed at delegation promotion party they do have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In which delegation? All delegations or just
No,
some?
not all delegation. I've performed for the Italian one, for the Swiss one, for the Australian one, of course. But I take enough music with me, so if I'm asked to perform at the promotion party, I will have the music.
So you talk that you bring to you enough music to perform in different contexts, and since people want to hear music and to have a party. So in these last years, what is the difference between being a DJ in these events? So we know that technology is changing, and maybe it's easier to bring your music with you today. So can you talk a little bit about this technological thing that many people shouldn't know?
Yes, surely. Like the first time I performed was in Malmö, my first Eurovision. And at that time, we didn't really use USB sticks.
Of course.
So it was a lot more I had to copy the music on CDs and then carry with me a lot of CDs. Now, of course, it's very different. And I just have a small USB sticks and a USB bank.
Yeah.
So I've got all my music there, and it's very easy. I don't have to carry all of this anymore.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I used to be also a DJ in the 70s, and we used to have a big 33 12-inch vinyl, and that was very, very hard to carry every night. So it has become very easier for us DJ to be prepared and to bring the music.
Yeah, I can imagine that if you were already a DJ for the Eurovision Song Contest in the 70s, it would have been extremely difficult to carry all the vinyl, throughout the cities where you would be working. But fortunately now everything is much easier. Yes. So now, the other day when we were speaking informally, you told us about the podcasts that you make each year. So we are curious to know if these podcasts that you make are only available during the event, or if they are available the weeks after or during the whole year, or, are they adapted to the cities where the Eurovision takes place? Can you tell us a little bit about these podcasts, please?
Okay. Regarding the podcast, every year, most of the delegation will produce some remixes.
Mm-hmm.
And when you play at the Euro Club or even at the Euro Village, you play this version. It's a very interesting concept because some of the songs, like Dami Im, The Sound of Silence, was a ballad. But then fortunately, the song was remixed to become a dance version.
I see.
So they had the 3 minute 20 version, and they also had the extended version, which is about 6 minutes 50.
Oh gosh, yeah.
There was about 5 or 6 different remixers doing this song. So when you are at the Euro Club or at the Village, I can decide, depending how the crowd do respond, I play certain remix or I play the normal song.
Yeah, yeah. So you have to be very attentive to the reaction of the audience who are in the village.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
And it is actually a little bit of a problem with the fan, what I would call fanatics, because we are like about 8 or 9, oh, actually probably 12 DJs working at the Euro Club. And the majority of people are quite open-minded, and I'm quite happy to hear the normal remix or the extended remix. But the fanatics, as I would call them, only wants to hear the 3-minute version, and probably only about 50 songs.
Okay.
So there's always space now for different DJ to play different style of music. And at least now they mention who is DJing on that night. For example, in Stockholm, it was very good because we had the Euro Club on one side and the Euro Cafe on the other side. So people had the choice to move between the two venues. The one who wanted to dance could be listening to the remix, and the purist, I would call, would be at the Euro Cafe listening to the 3-minute version. But for me, I've always considered taking the crowd on a musical journey. I'm not a jukebox. I don't want to play just the 3-minute version. I want to create a whole atmosphere on the evening. I'm going to surprise with a cappella version. I'm going to surprise with version in different languages. And this is a pleasure of bringing something different.
You also...
Yeah, it's part of the, sorry, let me add this, Sophia. It's really a part of the essence of being a DJ, right? I mean, when you have the opportunity to put your own personal input into choosing which version or which song to play at that particular time, I think.
Exactly. And I think one of the other issues is, of course, some of the other DJ are only Eurovision DJ. So they only do DJing during the Eurovision time, where I do DJ during the whole year. And I don't only do Eurovision music. So therefore, I've got probably a different approach, which a lot of people will enjoy, but some people might not.
Okay. Okay.
So you told us in our previous talk that you adapt your choices as well as considering the city and the country, of course, that you are playing, because this is, as we know, the Eurovision has this emotional link with people. So we like to hear Portuguese songs, and of course we are Portuguese, or other people maybe feel the same. So how do you prepare these choices?
Okay. There is a lot of preparation which people don't realize. When a country gonna basically be the host of Eurovision, I'm going through the whole history of Eurovision from 1956. So, for example, Holland was or the Netherlands was one of the first country to participate in Eurovision. So I'm doing some research, and I'm finding all the songs from 1956 from the Dutch version. And I'm gonna find the song when Dutch used to release songs with a French, English, German version. And I'm going to collect all of this on my USB stick.
Mhm.
So there is also cover version of songs by different artists. Plus you have songs which have won, like Nicole and Mission Freedom. And
Yeah.
Nicole basically did a Dutch version. There's
Mhm.
quite a lot of winning song or Eurovision songs which have been, at the time in the 60s, 70s and 80s, it was very popular to release the song in different languages.
Mhm. Mhm.
It disappeared in the 2000s, but the last few years, we've been blessed to again have artists singing in 2, 3, 4, 5 different languages.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, and about the cities, we are curious to know how you perceive the different cities where you were engaged in the Eurovision Song Contest, because up till now you were in 7 different cities, as far as we
Yeah,
know. So,
yeah.
how did the city's life change because of hosting the Eurovision Song Contest? Did you have any perception of these big transformations?
Every city is completely different.
Of course.
I mean, Stockholm probably was very, very well organized, but Sweden is very knowledgeable about Eurovision organization, the history of Sweden with ABBA winning, and they've won many, many times. So we did expect to have a very well organized Eurovision in Stockholm. So of course, when I was planned to play at the Square in Stockholm, I did remix some ABBA songs and some Swedish Schlager, what they call,
Yeah.
to bring the atmosphere. Because at the village, actually, you can play not just Eurovision music, you can
Sure.
play local music.
Yeah.
So it's a completely different approach again than at the club. You really are stuck to play Eurovision music.
I see. Okay.
Mhm.
So, Israel, of course, was a completely different type of music because you could bring a lot of Arabic music as well. And the climate was different. So at the village, it was very, very different to play.
Mhm.
So you can play a little bit more happy music and moving music. In Stockholm, the climate was cold. In Kiev, we had some snow. So
Yeah.
uh, you just adjust how the crowd respond, and but it's a pleasure, you know.
So you told us in our previous talk that you were supposed to spend 4 months in Europe this year in different cities, but due to the pandemic situation and this all cancellation of events, uh, your uh, your work is affected. So what do you think that this pandemic situation could affect this entertainment business? Because yeah, we are dealing with small spaces and space between people and this kind of stuff. What is your perception?
Okay, it's a very sad situation, especially for the artists, but not only the artists. It's basically the restaurant, the tourism industry. Um, there's a lot of frustration because a lot of people had planned to tour in Europe, artists from all around the world, like Celine Dion had a big tour of Europe, Lady Gaga, and all these tours had to be stopped. Now, it's a massive problem because the whole industry, people setting up the concert, people selling tickets, they all have lost their job.
Mhm, mhm,
And for example, another thing which is for the Australian, Eurovision, we're a big crowd. We're supporting Eurovision for a lot of time. So a lot of Australians have made the effort to pay for the airfare
mhm,
and to pay for the tickets. And suddenly, like about 2 weeks before, we told it's a no-go. So I would say for not only the artist, but also the fan, there's a lot of money issue which
mhm,
been raised after this situation because expenses have been, people have spent a lot of money, but the refunds are not coming.
Yeah.
For the artists, the same thing. It's very, very frustrating because they put so much energy. When you work at Eurovision, it's like a boot camp for about 2 weeks. Artists, DJ, media people, we are like sleeping 4 hours a night and we are full on, especially the artists. I mean, they have to perform their song for about 50, 60 times in 2 weeks. And for them, they put all this rush of energy and adrenaline to go there, and then suddenly it's gone. And I really feel for the artists. Fortunately, I think up today there's 17 of them which have been reselected to participate. They will need some new songs.
18,
but,
I think.
Yes, 18. Yeah, well, that's good. And I wish all the artists could be reselected again. But of course, countries like the northern part of Europe, they do a selection process like big show, like Melodian Festival or the Norwegian Festival. The same with Italy with Sanremo. And they need, these shows are going over weeks, and it's bringing a lot of money as well because they're touring through the country. So this country needs to keep on going. Sanremo keeps on doing their 6 nights. So therefore the artists of Italy and a lot of artists in the northern part of Europe will miss out. And it's really this, it's very sad for them because they put so much energy in it. They've got pumped up to perform and then suddenly it's gone. So for the fan, Eurovision is a little bit like the annual Christmas. It's always good because they're catching up with friends. But what I also want to stress is that Eurovision is very different. It's not like a big soccer game. It's a safe environment. I have never seen any violence at Eurovision, and you have massive crowds, but it's a friendly crowd. But okay, Rotterdam 2021 has been announced. Great. Will it be the same? They might have to adjust, but I'm sure we will have another Eurovision in 2021. It might be slightly different, but we'll be there.
Let's hope so. So it's very interesting what you mentioned about being a crowd and a safe crowd, which is something that, well, it doesn't occur to us that often, you know, but it occurs to you because you've been in so many Eurovision Song Contests in a row, like the last 7 years. So the next question we would like to...
Can I just quickly add something to that? I've been DJing at the FIFA, at the Euro Soccer.
Oh, that's fantastic.
When they had the Euro in Switzerland and in Austria. And when you DJ for the soccer fan, it's a completely different...
Yeah, so you have this pattern of comparison. Okay, I see.
Exactly. And I was DJing for a game between Croatia and Turkey, I think. And there was so much violence after the game. And I was at the fan zone playing the music, and they had to stop it. And so many people ended up in hospital. But Eurovision, you never see that. It's a happy crowd.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, so the question that we had to ask you was about, well, in a way it relates to what you've just said, because you mentioned to us the other day the importance of meeting friends, right? So
yes.
What sort of friends do you meet in these events? Are they longtime friends, or they became your friends through the Eurovision Song Contests? Or is it a mixture of both? Can you tell us a little bit about the human tie regarding the Eurovision Song Contest? Because it's also something that people are not very much aware of.
Okay, of course, Eurovision, having been since 1961, 1956, is a very important song contest, but it only started, I would say, about 12 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, to become so big. And it's not only the show, and this is what the fans sometimes forget. Eurovision is actually a TV show. and it's done for TV. So all what happened around it is a little bonus. It's a bonus for the city because it brings some tourism and some business. It's for the hotel are gonna be full and everything. But it's also for the fan. They arrive there and they meet some their friend they've met for years after years and after years. And what's really interesting is once some of them have been there for the first time, it's become a tradition. And years after years, you're gonna meet again the same people and the same friends. So it has created really a very strong bond between people going every year. The other thing, of course, is today with the social media and the internet, people are a lot more connected. So quite often people are connecting through a fan website, and then finally they meet, you know, and they have something in common, which is, it's bringing a lot of joy to a lot of people. And this is why it's a very positive and happy place to be.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Because you have to be inside in order to have this perception of the human ties that are involved in this event.
Yes, it's interesting because for somebody who's not so much into Eurovision, it sounds like a crazy word, or it's a sect, you know, almost like a sect. But it's not. It's just a happy fun, and it should be like this.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you can tell us a little bit about the Australia fan community that we sure you know, because yeah, here in Europe we can have an idea about it, but we know very bad this Australian context. Can you highlight?
Yes. Okay, this is one question that non-stop people are asking: why is Australian at Eurovision? Okay, well, it's very simple. It's starting back. We started to broadcast Eurovision in 1983 in Australia. And since then, of course, it's gone up a notch because with the internet, there's more connection as well. So suddenly you've got all these fan following the selection of the songs and everything. So Australians have been always very, very fond of Eurovision. What you have to understand is most of Australians are from English or European descent. And that the majority of Australian population is about 70% migrants. So Eurovision in the 80s was one of the pleasure we had to follow. It was screened on television. You would get the song list because we didn't have the internet. So we would get the song list faxed to us, and then we would do a party, and people would come, and we would put $10 and watch the show together, and the one who picked up the winner would take all the money. We would cook food from different countries. It was a very, very different. So it gave a sense of community to a lot of Australians. Okay, I still have my connection to Europe. And this is what Eurovision has been very important for Australians. I mean, for example, when Dami performed, when the show was screened in Australia, there was an audience of 3 million people.
My God.
Considering we have 18 million people, it's quite large.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not the figures like in Sweden and everything, but it's building up slowly and slowly. And I think Dami finishing second, and every year we went to the final, and we're producing actually some very interesting acts. And we take it very seriously. So this is why the Australians are very much. Another factor which I want to talk about Australia is, for example, ABBA's career really internationally started in Australia.
Exactly.
They had the song Fernando, ended up being 14 weeks at #1. We used to have one of the major TV shows every Saturday. It was like Countdown. It was called Countdown. It's like Top of the Pop in the BBC. And ABBA basically owe a lot to Australia for their international career, because we were really the one pushing them at the beginning. Why? Because it's kitsch, because Australians have a sense of humor. You know, if you look at the movie we've produced, very successful movie from Australia, have been, for example, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Muriel's Wedding, Crocodile Dundee, Strictly Ballroom. They're all movies which are, we're not taking ourselves too serious, and we're making fun out of ourselves. So, of course, Eurovision, the music connected to the sense of humor of Australians. And this is why it's become so big in Australia.
Yeah, yeah. I learned that fact of ABBA becoming a really well-known group in that documentary that I was telling you about, specifically with Fernando. That song which speaks about the war. Can you imagine? Because I had never in my life, well, I never paid attention to its lyrics. That's what it means anyway. But very interesting, very interesting. Okay, so Sophia, do you want to add anything else?
Trying to do a kind of wrap up, and since you know Eurovision as a TV show and as well as a event that move thousands of people every year, how you see this new normal that maybe we have to face in the future, and how do you perceive the future of the Eurovision and this whole dynamics, considering this new normal inherent of the pandemic situation? It's a kind of wrap up of our conversation.
Okay, so well, let's put it first. Start with 2020. We can. This 2020 will definitely go down in history book, as this is the first time ever Eurovision was cancelled. Now, I want to bring something quickly. This is not the first time Eurovision almost didn't happen.
Yeah,
there were strikes. There were strikes. There were natural diseases. There were disasters. You know, like in Oslo in 2010, we had Chernobyl. Sorry, it was 1980.
80s,
That was in Bergen. So about a few weeks before, they were, shall we still do Eurovision? 2010, that was in Oslo, and there was Chernobyl. You had the war in Zagreb. You had in Azerbaijan, you had the issue with the building, which was not finished on time. You had strikes. You had countries who could not afford to produce the show a second year in a row. So it's not the first time Eurovision has had some trouble to happen. However, this is the first time it stopped. So it will definitely become a landmark in the history of Eurovision. Now, Eurovision 2021 will be a brand new show, and they're gonna have to rebrand it, a new logo, and new, as much as, you know, some of the fans saying, oh, we repeat it. No, they're gonna have to do a brand new rebranding. Start from the scratch. It happened to be still in Rotterdam. Will it be the same thing? The external activities will probably be not be able to be the same. I cannot see that the Euro Village will be packed with 500,000 people like in Tel Aviv. The Euro Club probably will not be able to have 1,000 people dancing. We don't know yet. It's all about the unknown. We're gonna have to adjust. I mean, the song contest has existed for so long, and I've gone through a lot of changes through the years, and I'm sure that they will find a way. And as I said before, let's not forget, it is a TV show. And in reality, all the fans going are props for a TV show, if you think about it. So the city, of course, will miss out a little bit, because if there's no Euro Village, or they won't have so many tourists. It's really sad for Rotterdam, because it's going to affect them budget-wise. They spend so much money on thinking it's going to be like all previous Eurovision, but that's a fact of life. So let's be positive. Let's think there will definitely, music is fantastic to connect people. And Eurovision is unique. So it's going to be there in a way or another. And it's going to keep on going. It's the longest show from San Remo. So
exactly.
let's all be happy about it and proud to be part of it.
Yeah. And let's hope to meet all of us in person in 2021 in Rotterdam.
That's it.
Yeah.
Alan, thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan.
Very nice talking to you, ladies.